Glad you had a good Thanksgiving. Uh, that's the first holiday, public holiday in the U.S. that was not linked to any religion. When
That's
Abraham
interesting.
Lincoln declared it during the Civil War, he said something like the during this time of strife and turmoil, it is always good to remember and focus our minds on the things that we have and the blessings we've been given, which I thought was kind of cool. There's only been one holiday song written for Thanksgiving, and that was "Over the River and Through the Woods." Most everything else is like a church hymn that was adapted for Thanksgiving, where everything else is written for other holidays. So I thought
That's really
that's kind of
interesting.
cool. Well, it at least it had the benefit of using up a couple minutes, see if anybody else would join us. Well, did you see the new module that is on? This is going to be the last of the project modules, and the last module for the term before until the final.
I haven't looked at it yet.
Okay, it's basically just about what the final project is, and basically what we're going to be doing. Do you remember doing the brainstorming for what you want to do for your final project? For the last 2 weeks of the semester, what we're basically going to be doing is just focusing on that and focusing on getting other stuff done. And there's a couple, I've got some interesting ideas that people want to do. And I wanted to talk about that for a little bit. And I also wanted to just reiterate on when things are due. Do you remember what the due date policy is for the class?
Anything can be turned in late.
Yeah, you can redo stuff as many times as you need to. I know every once in a while there are students that will get stressed out about not being done on time, but the due dates are there specifically so that Canvas will remind you to do it if it's something that you've forgotten. Everything has to be turned in on Friday at midnight, the last day of finals, so December 16th. And with this project, same thing. Um, what I'm really hoping is that people will be able to get the project, take pictures of the project, put it on the discussion board, and have that turned in before our extra credit meeting on Tuesday night during finals week. So Tuesday, December 13th, we're going to be meeting as a teams meeting, and it will be essentially an extra credit thing, so you can get extra points if you do show up, and also if you watch it later before the end of finals. But if you don't make it, you're not going to lose any points. So it's completely extra. The final project, I we've been talking about art periods and art movements. We've been talking about the elements of art. We've been talking about critical thinking through the four tools of artistic critique. And those four tools are describing, analyzing, interpreting, and evaluating. And that's something that you can apply to absolutely everything. This final project is an opportunity for you to go through those three. And by you, I don't mean just Megan, I mean everybody in the class. But it's an opportunity for you to go through hey, Leah, the elements of the modules where we talked about the old Mali Empire. Look at those images again and see, how are they using the elements of the art, line, shape, form, color, all that. What kinds of things make it distinctive to the art period that is linked to the old Mali Empire? And then, just like with that brainstorming exercise, think about something that they should have had in the old Mali Empire that they didn't. I know I've mentioned cell phone covers, but that could be, you can make furniture. I've had people cook for this before. You can make dioramas. You could do a painting if you really, really wanted. But what I want you to do specifically is use materials as much as you can that you already have in your house. You're not getting anything, you're not buying anything extra. Use up whatever you have left over from the other stuff that you've done. Borrow and scrounge from roommates, parents, whoever, and we're going to make something that looks like it belongs to the Mali Empire, but is something that comes from our own present day experience. So, for example, some things might be, what's an app that they could have used back then, and how would that app look? What would you use to show that? If you want to make that app, um, use Photoshop and do some screen shots or something like that with it. That'd be cool. Or say you have a childhood home that's your favorite building in the world. Take that, take some pictures of that, and work on those photos or make a model of it as if it was built with that um, Milanese style architecture that we saw. Say, what would an action figure look like that they had back then? What kind of clothing? I know they didn't have T-shirts, but what would a T-shirt look like? And one of the big important elements of this is a time factor. So over the next 2 weeks and through to the end of, through to the end of finals, actually, what you'll need to do is spend about, up to 3 hours researching this and 9 hours carrying it out. So the 3 hours of research can be, whatever you need to do to design it, and the 9 hours to carry it out. Say you are going to be making a dinner that they might have eaten in the Mali Empire, and you have to try out the recipes. You may have to go to the grocery store. You may have to ask people to come over and try it out when you make it the first time, and do it a couple times. Do a taste testing, and all of that is part of the creation process. So all of that counts for the 9 hours after you've done your research. And I know it sounds like a big thing to do, but this is just using the tools that you guys have already demonstrated you know how to do from the rest of the semester. And you're extrapolating what you've learned about art and the elements of art so that you can find those signifiers that identify creativity during the time of the Mali Empire, and bringing that forward to today so you can make something that fits in today's world, but also so that it looks like it belongs in the Mali Empire. Furniture is going to be different. Clothing is going to be different. Maybe uh, your excuse me, I have something that keeps getting caught in my throat. Maybe your major has to do with um, uh, marketing and marketing display. What would what would a chain store be in the old Mali Empire if they had chain stores? And what kind of holiday would they have this time of year? And how would they decorate their front windows? And that could be an interesting project. This is not going to be graded on your skill level as an artist, because this is introduction to art. Nobody taking this class is going to be a master artist of any sort, but it will be graded on how much time you spend on it and workmanship. So you may be upset that it's not the most perfect thing, but you've made it out of um, more permanent materials rather than things that will fall apart quickly. Like you've used Elmer's glue instead of poster tack. You've done something so that it is a little bit more sturdy. And you can also go, part of your research maybe you want to build something out of clay, but there are several different recipes for clay that will call for items that you already have in your apartment, like flour and salt. And you part of your research would be going on YouTube, watching a couple of videos, seeing what the absolute cheapest clay that you can make is. And then part of your project would be figuring out how to work with it, mixing it, and then after it dries, painting it, or anything like that. There's lots of different kinds of possibilities. So I want you to think about that. as you go into this final project. And again, the due dates listed in the module are the 9th and the 11th, but remember what I said when everything's due. When is everything due?
December 16th.
At midnight. That's right. So you guys have until then. And if you guys, if it ends up that you do need some more time, I'll need to know so I can see what I can do about it. But as you move towards this, I've seen some really interesting ideas through the brainstorming. If you have any questions, email me, and we can even do one-on-one Teams meeting over the next week and a half, so you can get your thoughts in order and see what you can do for this. And then on Tuesday next week, we're going to meet for the last official time, and we'll talk again about um, what the final is. And the final is going to be hopefully a lot simpler than any of the finals that you have for any of your other classes. It'll be basically just a couple essay questions. And I was thinking about doing the quiz, but that's something that we need to think about. See if you guys need another quiz, or if, and it may just be that the final will be the 4 questions, and that's fine. And then for extra credit, Tuesday the 13th, we're going to be meeting just like this. If you show up live, you get 8 points instead of the regular 3. If you watch the recording, you get 5 points instead of the 3. And if you don't see it at all, you don't get a 0 or anything. It doesn't count against your grade. It doesn't take away anything. All right? Now, I did over Thanksgiving holiday, I did grade everything that was turned in through the 25th. And then this week, I'll be grading the stuff as soon as it comes in. Hopefully, by Friday, I should have everything up to then graded. But I'm going to try to stay right on top of that for the rest of the term, so everybody knows exactly where they stand. All right. Now, do you guys have any question about the things that we talked about? Excuse me. Sorry about that. Do you have any questions about what we talked about?
I have a question that we didn't talk about.
Okay.
So our little books that we made at the beginning of the year and the 35 drawings that we did in them, was it 35 drawings?
I think it was 35 entries, and a
Yeah.
third of those could be written.
Yeah. Do you want you want them all like 35 pictures on like a all-in-one PDF and then submitted?
Yeah, if you wanted to, I wanted to say 35 separate pictures. I would just, get the pages flat, take a picture of that, and yeah, put them all in one PDF and send that. That would be a really good way to submit it.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be perfect. Excellent question. How about you, Leah?
What? I'm good.
Okay, can you guys both think of questions that maybe somebody else in the class could have about these things that we talked about?
Actually, I have a question about kind of about the sketches too. For the writing ones, it's just like writing, right? Like about like
Yeah,
the
you can do
projects.
whatever you want. Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine. Somebody actually submitted a picture of that for their brainstorming because they used their sketchbook to do their brainstorming in, and that's perfect. So that's a really good question. Anything else? All right then. If there's no other questions or anything, I think you guys have got it covered, and I think we did cover everything I intended to. Um, we are going to be meeting again on Tuesday, and hopefully, and there won't be any more modules or anything until the finals module, and whatever questions you have about final submissions or anything like that, we'll address them then. Do you remember how many times you can resubmit a quiz? As many times as you want. And you could, if you didn't get all the points you wanted on an assignment, you can keep resubmitting as many times as you'd like until you get the points that you want. I don't have a problem doing that. Sometimes I see that Canvas, tells me that it's been submitted. Sometimes I don't. So when you resubmit something, if you just drop me a short email, that really helps quite a bit. All right. Okay. If you guys are good, then I will look forward to seeing you both on Tuesday. All righty. Thank you. Thanks for showing up today. Woody Allen said that 95% of success is showing up.